Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. ACR 86 would encourage state, local, nonprofit, and private partners to work together to implement solutions that address the state's animal shelter overpopulation problem. California's animal shelters are overcrowded and overwhelmed. Many shelters are so full that they are forced to resort to extreme measures like turning away stray animals and euthanizing healthy ones for space. Fortunately, spay and neuter surgeries are an effective means of limiting the unchecked pet population. However, unsubsidized spay and neuter surgeries are expensive, costing hundreds of dollars per animal. Likewise, the supply of low and no-cost services cannot meet demand, leading to months-long wait lists for many procedures. This issue is further exacerbated by a chronic veterinarian shortage that leaves critical spay and neuter facilities without proper staffing. ACR 86 recognizes and addresses the many compounding causes of the animal shelter overpopulation crisis. First, it urges the Veterinary Medical Board to encourage out-of-state veterinary staff to register to practice in California. Second, it encourages state, local, nonprofit, and private partners to develop and fund high-volume spay and neuter services across the state. Finally, it asks the state to encourage Californians to adopt animals from shelters instead of buying them from breeders. By encouraging these steps, ACR 86 aims to alleviate the pressure felt by our animal shelters and ensure that they are able to give vulnerable animals the care they need. With me to provide supporting testimony are Judie Mancuso, founder, CEO, and president of Social Compassion in Legislation, and Kenn, Altine, CEO of Sacramento, SPCA.
Great. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Judie Mancuso, Social Compassion and Legislation. When I founded my group in 2007, our goal was to create legislation and programs that would alleviate the pet overpopulation crisis we had at that time. Since then, we have sponsored over 60 bills and have seen 23 of them signed into law. We also got our pet lovers license plate on the road, which now has brought in millions of dollars to spay and neuter. Historically, our shelters were taking in right at 1 million dogs and cats, with over half being euthanized, at an annual cost to taxpayers every year of $250 million. We have made great strides with our legislative efforts. However, COVID set us back several years and its effects continue. We have gone to great lengths to document the current state of affairs in ACR 86, and resolutions, as we know, can be symbolic. But that is not our goal. We need action. With your help, we can reset the narrative. We must encourage out-of-state veterinarians to practice in California, even if only temporarily. We must create more funding for low-cost, high-volume spay and neuter programs. We must urge Californians to adopt from a shelter or a rescue group instead of buying from a breeder. And we must give animal control services the resources they need to more robustly enforce breeding as well as spay and neuter laws. Let's amplify these messages to each of your districts, all of which share the burden of this issue. Thousands of wonderful dogs, cats, and rabbits are being dumped, overbred, and losing their lives in our state. This is a humane crisis for the animals and for those attending to their care. It's also a financial burden on all of us. Please take this resolution to heart and not only vote yes, but also join as a co-author. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Mancuso.
Good morning. I'm Kenn Altine. I'm the CEO of the Sacramento SPCA, which is the largest provider of low-cost veterinary care in Northern California. A 2021 survey shows that 14 California counties rank in the bottom 25% nationally on the veterinary care accessibility score, which means there is extremely limited or no ability to see a veterinarian. The overall score for California was 47 out of 100, with the Central Valley and North State faring the worst. Nevada has a score of 55. Nebraska has a score of 71. We're stuck at 47. And even if Californians find a vet in their neighborhood, county, or region, many cannot afford the cost of treatment. The results are predictable and heartbreaking. Without access to a vet, Californians whose pets are sick or suffering have few choices. Give the animal to one of the few shelters still accepting owner surrenders, have it humanely euthanized if they can afford it, or allow it to suffer. Many are finding another alternative, turn it into a public facility as a stray. Our public shelters are filled with two distinct populations: the older, sicker animals people can no longer provide care for, and litters upon litters of kittens and puppies, the result of pandemic closures of low-cost spay-neuter clinics that have not been able to reopen at full capacity because of a shortage of veterinarians. Our state's euthanasia rate is climbing after years of decline. Public facilities are forced to euthanize animals to make space for more, and cats and dogs with treatable medical conditions end up at the front of that line because public shelters cannot attract or keep veterinarians in a tight labor market. We can spend resources on expanding facilities and hiring more people to deal with the growing shelter population and euthanasia, or we can invest in solutions, building and staffing regional spay-neuter centers, providing incentives for California vet school graduates to stay, and attracting vets from other states, especially those trained in high-quality, high-volume spay-neuter surgeries. Raising awareness is the first step, but we need to quickly follow words with actions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any primary witnesses in opposition to the bill? Seeing none, I want to open it up for any folks who want to add on in support of the bill. Want to add your name, organization you're with, if any, position on the bill. Seeing none, anybody who wants to add on in opposition to the bill? Still seeing none. Bring it back to colleagues for got a motion, got a second. Comments, questions? Seeing none. Assemblymember, would you like to close?
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
My favorite close. Thank you to the author and supporters of this bill. It's been made clear in this committee that we need action at the state level to address pet overpopulation, and the best way to achieve this is all of the stakeholders working together. I'm happy to support this resolution today. Thanks so much. And I'm sure there will be an opportunity to add on as co-authors on the floor of the Assembly. And Madam Secretary, please call the vote.
The motion is to be adopted and re-referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Berman?
Aye.
Berman, aye. Flora? Flora, aye. Alanis? Alvarez? Alvarez, aye. Baines? Baines, aye. Bonta?
Aye.
Bonta, aye. Chen? Chen, aye. Dixon? Gibson? Gibson, aye. Grayson? Grayson, aye. Irwin? Irwin, aye. Jackson? Jackson, aye. Lee? Lee, aye. Lowenthal? Lowenthal, aye. McCarty? McCarty, aye. McKinner? McKinner, aye. Wynn? Wynn, aye. Patterson? Ting? Ting, aye.
That resolution is out. Congratulations.